everyone. Welcome to this deep dive. We're tackling something pretty close to your heart, I think, and that's how to build literacy independence in our classrooms.
Oh, yeah.
So we're diving into this book called The Daily Five. It's by Gail Boucher and Joan Moser. And it's all about transforming your classroom, right, into like a buzzing hive of independent learning,
Yes.
where the kids are so engaged in reading and writing that you can actually have time for small group instruction
Yes,
or
exactly.
like individual conferences.
That's the dream, right?
It really is, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're hoping to achieve with this deep dive,
Yeah.
to really unpack how to make that dream a reality.
And the Daily Five offers a very practical path to get there.
Okay.
What I think is so fascinating is how they unpack these 5 core components.
Okay.
Read to self, read to someone, work on writing, listen to reading, and word work, like spelling.
Okay.
And the best part is,
Yeah.
it's not just some random recipe. Each component is deeply rooted in research,
Mm-hmm.
demonstrating an impact on literacy development.
So it's not just like, oh, this sounds good. It's like, no, this actually works.
It actually works.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I totally get read to self, right? Like that seems pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
But I'm curious about this read to someone.
Yeah.
How is that more than just two kids kind of reading aloud to each other?
That's where the magic happens.
Okay.
It's about leveraging the power of peer learning.
Okay.
So imagine, right, one student is reading aloud
Okay.
and their partner is listening intently,
Hmm.
ready to summarize what they just heard.
Okay.
Then they switch roles.
Mhm.
Or picture this.
Mhm.
They're taking turns reading the same text.
Okay.
Like maybe with a more fluent reader modeling good reading habits.
Oh, okay.
They call it I read, you read.
Oh, I like that.
That's brilliant.
It's very catchy.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of structured peer interaction
Right.
when I was learning to read because it
Yeah.
makes so much sense.
It does.
You're building comprehension skills
Sucks.
and fluency through peer modeling.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember in the book they talk about these like 5 core principles
Right.
that lay the groundwork for this kind of independence.
Yes.
So let's dive into those.
The first principle is trust.
Okay.
And when you think about it, trust is the bedrock of any successful learning environment.
I can see that.
Yeah, so Boucher and Moser really emphasize
Yeah.
the importance of building strong, positive relationships,
Okay.
not just between you and your students, but among the students themselves,
That makes sense.
right? Because when children feel valued and respected,
Yeah.
they're more likely to take risks, make mistakes,
Right.
and truly own their learning.
It makes me think of that quote from Debbie Miller
Oh, yeah.
in her book, Reading with Meaning. It's like, what am I doing now that I could trust the kids to do?
Yes,
It's all about letting go of a little bit of that control and
exactly.
empowering those students.
Absolutely. And that leads right into the next principle,
Okay.
choice.
Oh, choice. Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
All right.
Think about your own life for a second, right?
Okay.
Are you more likely to stick with a book, a workout routine, anything really,
Oh, yeah.
if you've chosen it yourself?
Absolutely. If I'm not into it, I'm out.
Exactly. The same goes for kids.
Okay.
Giving them choices about what they read, how they read,
Mm-hmm.
even the order in which they tackle those daily 5 activities can dramatically increase their motivation and engagement.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But wouldn't there be a risk of them just always choosing the easiest books?
Yeah.
Or like, only reading about dinosaurs all day long?
That's a valid concern,
Right.
but the book addresses that head on.
Okay.
It's not about offering complete free rein.
Right.
It's about structured choice.
Okay.
The teacher plays a crucial role
Okay.
in curating a diverse selection of high-quality books,
Mm-hmm.
providing guidance, and helping students expand their reading horizons.
Okay, so you're still in charge, but you're giving them some of those choices.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember Tamil, the 6th grade teacher.
Oh, yeah.
She saw remarkable changes in her students' reading habits simply by incorporating choice into her workshops.
Yeah.
Even those reluctant readers suddenly became more enthusiastic and invested.
It's about that ownership, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got trust, we've got choice, and I think you mentioned the next principle was community.
Exactly.
Right.
Think of your classroom as a microcosm of society.
Okay.
Creating a strong, supportive community is vital for fostering that love of learning. The authors advocate for shared experiences, right? Like reading aloud together,
Okay.
diving deep into author studies,
Mm-hmm.
even creating classroom rituals and traditions.
Okay.
Remember that Kevin Hankey's author study they described?
Oh, yeah.
The one where the whole class was buzzing with shared jokes and references for weeks after reading Lily's Purple Plastic Purse.
Oh, yeah.
That's the power of shared experience.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of belonging, making the classroom a place where students feel safe to take risks and grow as learners.
Oh, I love that example because you can just feel
Right?
the excitement and connection
Yes.
in that classroom just from them talking about it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've got trust, we've got choice, we've got community.
Mhm.
What's that fourth principle all about?
Creating a sense of urgency.
Urgency. Okay.
And it's not about pressure or anxiety.
Okay.
It's about purpose.
Okay.
Think about it. Even as adults, we're more motivated when we understand why we're doing something.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so the authors emphasize the importance of explaining the purpose
Okay.
behind each Daily 5 activity,
Okay.
connecting it to real-life applications,
Mhm.
and showing students how those skills will benefit them beyond the classroom walls.
It's like giving them that ha-ha moment.
Exactly.
Get why this matters.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
They share this fantastic anecdote about a student named Jenna.
Oh, Jenna. Okay.
During Read to Self time, she actually confronted some noisy adults in the classroom
Wow.
because she knew that uninterrupted reading time was crucial for her progress.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's a student who understands the urgency.
Wow, Jenna's my hero.
Right.
Okay, so what about the fifth principle?
The fifth principle is stamina.
Stamina.
And yes, you're right, it's all connected.
I was going to say, I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes.
Okay, stamina.
Building stamina for sustained reading and writing
Mm-hmm.
is like training for a marathon.
Okay.
You wouldn't expect to run 26 miles on your first day, would you?
No, definitely not.
The authors use this brilliant analogy, comparing it to Gail's own experience with gym training.
Okay.
It's about starting small, building gradually, celebrating those small wins.
Okay.
And eventually, those literacy muscles get stronger and stronger.
I love that. So it's like a workout,
It is.
but for reading.
It is. It absolutely is.
Okay, so we've explored these 5 core components of the Daily 5 and the 5 principles for fostering independence.
Right.
Those lay like a really solid foundation.
Yes.
But what about the nuts and bolts of implementation? Like, what specific strategies do they recommend for bringing this framework to life in the classroom?
They offer a wealth of practical strategies,
Okay.
and we'll delve into those right after. Well, we're not going to have a break because this is your personalized deep dive.
Right, right.
But let's transition into those key strategies.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right?
Okay, so let's get down to like the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
What are some of those key strategies to actually make this work?
Well, they start with something that seems so simple,
Okay.
but it's surprisingly effective.
Okay.
Establishing a gathering place.
Oh, okay.
And it's not just about having a cozy rug.
Right.
It's about creating this dedicated space for whole class instruction and group activities.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, right, it's a visual cue that signals that shifting gears.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it's minimizing distractions, encouraging interaction.
Okay.
It's like setting the stage for focused learning.
I like that. You know, it makes me think of
Yeah,
how I set up my own little workspace at home.
Right.
Like when I'm at my desk, it's work time.
exactly.
So I wonder, do they talk about any strategies for helping students choose books that are just right for them?
Absolutely. Remember that sense of choice we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it extends to book selection, too.
Okay.
Bushi and Moser are big advocates for teaching students how to find those good fit books,
Okay.
books that match their independent reading level
Mm-hmm.
and pique their interests.
Okay.
And they have this really catchy acronym
Okay.
that helps students remember the key elements of good fit book selection.
Oh, I love a good acronym.
I
I pick. Okay, break it down for me.
Okay, so I stands for I choose a book,
Okay.
emphasizing student agency right off the bat.
I like it.
Then there's P for purpose.
Okay.
Why am I reading this book?
Okay.
Is it for pleasure, research, to learn something new?
Mm-hmm.
Then I is for interest.
Okay.
Does this book genuinely spark my curiosity?
Okay.
C is for comprehend.
Okay.
Can I understand what I'm reading?
Mm-hmm.
And finally, K is for know.
Okay.
Do I know most of the words in this book?
So it's making them think about all of those different elements before they just grab something.
They even compare it to choosing the right pair of shoes.
Okay.
You wouldn't wear sneakers to a fancy dinner party, would you?
I mean, maybe, but I see your point.
Just like shoes, books need to fit the reader's purpose, interest, and comprehension level.
Okay, so just like we think about that with shoes, we need to think about that with books.
Exactly.
I love that analogy.
It's so simple, but effective.
It is.
And it really drives home that point that choosing the right book is crucial for successful independent reading.
Absolutely. Okay, so what other practical strategies do they recommend?
Well, they emphasize the power of visual aids, especially anchor charts.
Anchor charts. Okay.
Now I know what you're thinking.
Lay it on me.
Anchor charts, really, that's a bit old school, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
But think about it.
Okay.
They provide that visual reinforcement that can make all the difference in helping concepts stick.
Okay.
So imagine, right, an anchor chart with the ITIC steps clearly laid out,
Mm.
serving as a constant reminder for students as they browse the classroom library,
Okay.
or a chart with examples of good partner reading behaviors,
Okay.
visually reinforcing those expectations.
So it's kind of like it's there, it's always present.
Right.
They can refer back to it.
Exactly.
You know what? I am totally with you on the anchor charts.
Really.
I think sometimes those low-tech solutions are the most effective.
Right.
It's about making learning visible and accessible. You know, it makes me think, did you mention anything about Michael Grinder's work?
Oh, interesting connection.
Because it seems like their emphasis on modeling and visual aids really aligns with his approach.
You're spot on.
Okay.
They actually reference Grinder's influence in their 10 steps to improve muscle memory process.
10 steps, okay.
It's a systematic approach to building independence in each of the daily 5 activities.
10 steps might seem like a lot,
Yeah,
but I'm guessing it's all about breaking it down
exactly.
into manageable chunks, right?
Exactly.
So could you walk me through a few of those steps?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it starts with brainstorming expected behaviors as a class.
Okay.
What does it look and sound like to be a good reader during read-to-self time?
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the fun part,
Okay.
modeling both appropriate and inappropriate behaviors.
Okay.
Okay. This is where you can get a little theatrical,
Okay.
exaggerating those behaviors to really drive the point home.
I can already picture myself doing this. I think it'd be fun.
And then it's all about practice, practice, practice,
Okay.
starting with short intervals and gradually increasing the stamina
Okay.
as students become more comfortable with those independent routines.
So it's that repetition and reinforcement,
Right.
but it's engaging and it's interactive, right?
Exactly.
It's not just like lecturing them about how to behave. It's showing them, giving them the space to practice.
Absolutely.
Now, I remember them talking about also the importance of clear signals
Right.
for transitioning between activities.
Yes,
Did they offer any specific strategies for that?
they did.
Okay.
Clear signals are like the traffic lights of the classroom.
Okay.
They help manage the flow of activities, keep things running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And they specifically recommend a technique called above pause whisper.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that.
Okay.
That's the one where you use like a chime or some other sound
Yes.
above the level of your voice to get everyone's attention.
Mm,
Then you pause to let them look up.
Yeah.
And then you finally whisper the instructions.
exact.
It's such a brilliant strategy
Yeah.
for maintaining a calm and focused learning environment.
Right. It's about respect and clarity.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Now, let's face it, even with the best laid plans, there are always going to be some bumps in the road, right?
Oh, definitely. No classroom is
Yeah,
perfect.
that-
That's why I'm so glad they dedicated a whole section to troubleshooting, because I imagine transitioning to full choice can be a big hurdle,
yeah,
especially for teachers who are used to more structured routines.
you're right. It can feel daunting.
Right.
And the book addresses that head on, offering practical advice,
Okay.
reassuring examples.
Okay.
They highlight a teacher named Pam who worked with a high-needs student population,
Okay.
and she adapted the Daily 5 framework to fit their specific needs.
Oh, okay.
It's a great reminder that the Daily 5 isn't this rigid, one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
It's a flexible framework that can be tailored to different classroom contexts and student needs.
That is so reassuring to hear.
Right,
It's not about throwing everything out the window and starting from scratch.
right.
It's about taking those core principles and adapting them to your unique situation.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, though, did they offer any strategies for those moments when, even with all the modeling and practice,
Right.
some students just aren't quite getting the hang of the independent work?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, they acknowledge that some students might need more targeted support,
Okay.
and they recommend a very clear and consistent approach for those situations.
Okay.
It's all about setting those clear expectations,
Mm-hmm.
providing consistent routines, and maintaining a calm but firm demeanor.
So you're still providing that support,
Yes.
but you're not, like, creating a sense of dependence
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
singling out students.
Right, it's a delicate balance.
Right.
Did they offer any specific examples?
Yeah, like how would you actually address those situations?
Well, they suggest starting each day with a quick review of those expected behaviors,
Oh, okay.
either as a whole group or individually with that student,
Okay, so you're setting the tone
right from the start.
right from the start.
Exactly.
Okay, what if, despite those reminders, they're still not getting it?
Right.
Like, what happens if a student is continuing to exhibit disruptive behavior?
Right. In those cases, they recommend a calm but direct conversation,
Okay,
reiterating the expectations and offering choices.
okay.
So, for example, you might say, You can choose to follow the Read to Self guidelines and stay in the group,
Mm-hmm.
or you can choose to work independently at a designated spot.
So you're still giving them that agency,
Exactly.
but you're maintaining boundaries?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And ensuring a productive learning environment for everyone.
I like that. It's not about punishment. It's not about control. It's about, again, empowering them to make those choices.
Yes.
Now I'm thinking about assessment.
Okay.
With so much independent work happening simultaneously,
Right.
how do we track individual growth and make sure they're actually meeting expectations?
That's a great point.
It seems like that could be a challenge.
And the offers address that directly.
Okay, good.
They emphasize the importance of ongoing, authentic assessment
Okay.
through observation, conferences, anecdotal records.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that quote they mentioned from Margaret Mooney?
Oh, yeah.
Independence is synonymous with accountability.
Yes, I love that.
So it's not about micromanaging or relying on worksheets.
Right.
It's about creating that culture of accountability
Mm-hmm.
where students are empowered to demonstrate their learning through active engagement.
So it's not abandoning those traditional assessments altogether,
Right.
but using a more holistic and personalized approach
Exactly.
that aligns with those principles. Okay, so it's finding that balance.
Yes.
You know, this deep dive has been so insightful. It's amazing how the Daily 5 framework goes beyond just a set of activities. It really is a philosophy
Yes.
of teaching and learning
Right.
that empowers students to become independent, engaged learners.
I completely agree.
And I think the key takeaway here is
Yeah.
it's not about rigidly following a recipe.
Right.
It's about adopting those core principles
Exactly.
of trust, choice, community, urgency, and stamina to
Yeah.
create a learning environment that truly nurtures literacy independence.
And for you listening, as you consider how these principles might transform your teaching or learning environments,
Yeah.
here's a thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay, I like it.
How might these principles of trust, choice, and stamina apply beyond the classroom to other areas of learning and development?
That's a great question to leave us with.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive into fostering literacy independence.
You're welcome.
I hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as I have.
Me too.
Until next time, keep diving deep. It really is. It makes you think
It does.
about how we can apply these principles in other areas of life.
Yeah.
I know I'm already thinking about
Yeah.
how I can incorporate more choice and trust
Mhm.
into my own routines, maybe even my workout schedule,
Absolutely.
But speaking of stamina,
Yeah.
those 10 steps to building stamina that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
I'd love to unpack those a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah.
10 steps does sound like a lot.
It does sound like a lot.
But I'm guessing, again, it's all about breaking it down, right?
Absolutely. It's a step-by-step process designed to make it less overwhelming,
Okay.
both for you and your students.
Okay.
So the first step involves brainstorming as a class.
Okay.
What does it actually look and sound like to be a good reader during Read to Self time?
Okay.
What are those behaviors we want to see?
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the fun part,
Okay.
modeling both appropriate and inappropriate behaviors.
Ooh, I like it.
So this is where you can get a little theatrical,
Uh,
exaggerating those behaviors to really drive the point home.
oh, I can already picture myself doing this.
Right.
I think it'd be fun.
A little humor goes a long way
It does.
to make learning stick.
It.
And then once those expectations are clear,
Yeah.
it's all about practice.
Okay.
Short bursts of focused practice, gradually increasing that duration as students build those literacy muscles.
So it's like training for a marathon, like you said.
Exactly.
You start small.
Start small. You
Yeah.
got to celebrate those small wins along the way.
I love that. That's so important.
It
I
is.
think sometimes we get so focused on the end goal
Right.
that we forget to celebrate all those little successes that are
That's so-
happening along the way.
Yeah.
So we've got brainstorming, we've got the modeling, we've got the practice.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those other steps in building that stamina?
Well, a key element is incorporating regular check-ins.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about letting the students loose and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's about providing that ongoing support and accountability.
Okay, I like it.
And those check-ins can take many forms.
Okay.
A quick thumbs up, thumbs down signal, maybe a brief partner share,
Mm-hmm.
or even just a mini conference where you touch base with individual students
Okay.
and just see how they're feeling and offer that guidance.
So those check-ins are really valuable.
Yeah,
Not just for gauging their progress,
right.
but also for giving that individual support.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
you said with those personal training sessions,
Hmm.
sometimes that one-on-one attention can make all the difference.
It can make all the difference.
And it goes back to that principle of trust.
It does.
When you trust them to work independently, you're also saying, I'm here to support you.
Yes, you're there.
Every step of the way.
You got it.
It's finding that balance
That sweet spot.
between independence and guidance. This
Exactly.
has been so eye-opening.
Good, I'm glad.
I'm walking away from this deep dive with like a whole new perspective on how to foster literacy independence.
Yeah,
The Daily Five is not just a set of activities.
it's not.
It really is a mindset shift.
It is a mindset shift.
It's about empowering them to take ownership of their learning.
It is. I couldn't agree more.
And remember, it's not about following a recipe. It's
Right.
about taking those core principles,
Yes.
trust, choice, community, urgency, stamina,
Mm,
and really weaving them into the fabric of your classroom. So
absolutely.
it's creating that space where they feel valued,
Yeah.
supported,
Supported.
empowered to learn.
Empowered. You've got it.
I have a feeling this is going to make some big changes in my classroom.
I think so, too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive
You're very welcome.
into fostering literacy independence. I hope everyone listening found
No.
this as insightful as I have.
Me too.
And until next time, keep diving deep.